It's 7 p.m. Thursday, June 13th, here in Seoul.
Coming up on NewsCenter tonight. President Moon Jae-in says it's physically possible to hold an interKorean summit within this month. The remark came after his summit with the Norwegian Prime Minister, from whom President Moon earned support for his peace process on the Korean peninsula.
Hungarian authorities find the body of another South Korean who died after last month's tour boat crash on the Danube. That brings the death toll to 25 as the search goes on.
Violent protests simmer down in Hong Kong while the fate of the controversial extradition bill is yet to be known.
And South Korea's Under-20 football team gear up for their historic World Cup final clash against Ukraine this weekend. NewsCenter begins now.
Good evening and welcome to Arirang News Center, live from Seoul. I'm Han Da-eun.
And I'm Noah Adam. Thank you as always for joining us this evening. President Moon Jae-in has once again said that holding another interKorean summit this month is not impossible, a sign he's determined to get things moving again towards peace.
But to build ties between the two Koreas, he says the sanctions on Pyongyang will need to go away. Park Ki-jun starts us off.
President Moon Jae-in says all that needs to happen for there to be a fourth interKorean summit by the end of this month is for North Korea's Kim Jong-un to agree to one.
남북 간에 아주 짧은 기간 동안 연락과 협의로 정상회담이 이루어진 경험도 있기 때문에 물리적으로 불가능하지는 않습니다. 선택할지 여부는 김정은 위원장에게 달려 있다.
He was speaking in a joint presser Thursday with the president of Norway after their own bilateral summit. President Moon reiterated that the timing, location, and the formality of the summit with Kim Jong-un does not matter at all. And he revisited the idea of economic sanctions relief and corresponding efforts from the North to denuclearize.
남북 관계가 이렇게 제대로 발전해 나가려면 개성공단 재개를 비롯한 여러 가지 경제 협력으로까지 이어져야 하는데.
And for that, international sanctions on Pyongyang would have to be lifted, which can only happen when the North makes practical progress towards denuclearization. Also, President Moon said he's been briefed by President Trump on Kim Jong-un's latest letter. The South Korean leader said there's an interesting point in it that President Trump has not yet mentioned. On the interKorean peace process, President Moon and Norwegian Prime Minister Erna Solberg agreed that they're working together to achieve the Korean peninsula's complete denuclearization. President Moon will end his trip to Norway in Bergen. He will see firsthand the country's strong bilateral cooperation in the form of a Norwegian Navy logistics and support ship built by Korea's Seouls Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering. The South Korean leader will then head to Sweden, the last stop of his three-nation trip to Northern Europe. Park Ki-jun, Arirang News.
It has been 2 weeks since a tourist boat carrying mostly South Korean passengers sank in the Danube River in Hungary. 7 were rescued. 25 have been confirmed dead as of Thursday, and authorities are desperately searching for 3 remaining missing passengers. We have our Oh Soo-young on the line to provide us with the details. Soo-young, I believe South Korean authorities have started searching inside the vessel for the first time after it was salvaged earlier this week.
That's right. Authorities started searching inside the tourist boat on Thursday morning local time. And the operation was actually supposed to start the day before, but it was stopped by Hungarian authorities due to unfinished legal procedures regarding the preservation of the boat. And an earlier search inside the vessel, conducted by Hungarian police on Wednesday, failed to discover any additional bodies. In the meantime, the two sides are continuing their search along the Danube.
The highest probability is that the bodies fell out of the ship during the crash. So if the bodies are not inside the ship, then they must be in the water somewhere. On the whole territory of the river, the Hungarian police is doing a huge job. Everyone is out on the water searching. The Minister of Interior yesterday doubled these forces, and so the chance to find these bodies has grown.
And Soo-young, rescuers found an additional victim on Wednesday evening local time, and we hear the body has now been identified.
That's right. Seoul's foreign ministry says that the victim in question was a South Korean man in his 60s who was a tourist on the boat. At around 6 p.m. local time on Wednesday, his remains were discovered 110 kilometers downstream from the site of the accident near the town of Busan. This brings the official death toll to 25. Of that number, 23 have been confirmed as South Korean tourists, and the other 2 as Hungarian crew members. Only 7 people survived the fatal crash, and the 3 passengers who are still missing are presumed to be dead.
Now, what about the captain of the larger cruise ship who has been arrested on charges of causing the collision that led to the tourist boat sinking? To my surprise, he was released on bail on Wednesday.
That's right. A Hungarian court has maintained its decision to release the Ukrainian captain of the large cruise ship, turning down the prosecution's appeal on its earlier ruling. Bail was set at $53,000, and the captain, who has only been identified as 64-year-old Yuri C., was arrested earlier this month on the suspicion of criminal misconduct, as his ship slammed into the side of the tourist boat, causing it to fatally sink. The court ordered him to undergo police questioning twice a week and to wear an electronic tracking device so that he cannot leave Budapest. The captain's legal team has said he is devastated by the incident, but still denies any wrongdoing.
Our Oh Soo-young for us tonight. Thank you. President Trump has expressed optimism about North Korea's denuclearization despite the stalled talks. He says he's in no rush and that things are going to go well. Our Kim Hyo-sun has this report.
On the one-year anniversary of the historic Singapore summit between the leaders of North Korea and the U.S., President Trump reiterated on Wednesday that he will not rush to make a deal with the North. Answering questions during a joint press conference with Poland's president at the White House, Trump said Pyongyang and Washington are going to do very well. He also mentioned the sanctions are still in place.
I think we're going to do very well with North Korea over a period of time. I'm in no rush. The sanctions are on.
He hailed the letter he received a day earlier from the North's leader, saying he appreciated very much. Trump also stressed that things have changed dramatically, saying tensions were very high between Pyongyang and Washington when he became president. He explained he has a good relationship with Kim Jong-un and looks forward to seeing how things unfold.
We started off a very rough relationship, and I think we have a very good relationship right now. So we'll see what happens. I'm in no rush.
Using the opportunity to highlight the achievements his administration has made so far, President Trump explained that the remains of American soldiers who fought in the Korean War are coming home, and the regime hasn't conducted any nuclear tests for well over a year. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
The U.S. and a number of its allies are accusing North Korea of importing fuel beyond the limits set by the UN sanctions. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
According to reports by Reuters and Bloomberg, the United States and dozens of its allies, including South Korea, have called for tighter measures on North Korea after issuing a complaint that the North conducted 79 illegal deliveries of refined petroleum this year and have breached the UN's annual cap of 500,000 barrels. The U.S.-led complaint to the UN Security Council, which was dated Tuesday, calls for restrictions on the North's refined petroleum imports, saying it's critical in maintaining pressure on the regime, including those parties responsible for its WMD program. The North Korean mission to the UN did not immediately respond to a request for comment. While the U.S. complaint does not specifically name who it believes is supplying the fuel, former U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley previously accused Russia in September last year of cheating UN sanctions on North Korea. Moscow strongly rejected the accusations. However, Reuters reports Russian tankers have supplied fuel to North Korea by transferring cargoes at sea. Meanwhile, U.S. Special Representative for North Korea Stephen Biegun has been spotted in New York City. As it was reported, he met with the 15 members of the UN Security Council behind closed doors on Wednesday. While not a member of the Security Council, the representative of South Korea to the UN, Cho Tae-yeol, was reportedly present since it involved Korean Peninsula affairs. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
There are signs North Korea might be building another Sinpo-class ballistic missile submarine. Citing recent satellite pictures of the North Sinpo South shipyard, U.S.-based North Korea monitoring website 38 North says parts and equipment have been moved in the staging area near the construction halls. The website also said a dozen small cranes used to load supplies onto submarines have been placed along the edge of the boat basin. North Korea currently has just one Sinpo-class diesel sub that at 2,000 tons can carry one submarine-launched ballistic missile. Seoul's Defense Ministry has laid out plans to simplify procedures so that military personnel and soldiers can readily receive quality medical services from private hospitals. Our Kim Ji-yeon with more.
Soldiers cited a lack of medical equipment and experience of Army doctors as the main reasons for not wanting to receive medical treatment from military dispensaries. In response, Seoul's Defense Ministry unveiled plans Thursday to provide soldiers with easy access to quality medical services in private hospitals regardless of the procedure, as part of efforts to carry out the government's comprehensive Defense Reform 2.0 scheme, a 5-year plan to modernize the country's defense structure.
The core of the policy is aimed at providing soldiers the chance to use private hospitals more freely when they need care and cooperate with other public agencies to promptly provide emergency services.
Up until now, if soldiers wanted to visit private hospitals, they had to first receive treatment from a military dispensary, then get a medical certificate from a military hospital, then get approval from their unit commander, and finally be assigned an executive to accompany them. But the Defense Ministry aims to simplify that process by eliminating the need for the soldier to visit a military hospital or be accompanied by an executive. The ministry says it has already conducted a test run this year at an Army unit and plans to expand such test runs until 2020 before the full adoption for nearly all units. Trials on quickly transferring patients to nearby hospitals will also be run during the latter half of this year, with the option to expand the services of ambulance helicopters. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
In other news, crowds of protesters around Hong Kong's government headquarters have largely dispersed following the delay of a debate on a controversial extradition bill that, if passed, would allow suspects to be sent to mainland China for trial. Choi Si-young with the latest.
A small number of defiant demonstrators continued to protest the controversial extradition bill a day after the worst violence the city has seen in decades. Hong Kong's chief executive Carrie Lam on Wednesday called the protest organized riots and vowed to go ahead with the controversial extradition bill, dismissing calls for her to step down.
I will not shy away from my responsibility in introducing a piece of legislation, though we are very convinced of the justifications that causing this public outcry and all these divisiveness in society.
The BBC reported clashes between the protesters and police left at least 72 people injured, with 2 in critical condition. The police fired tear gas and rubber bullets at protesters, mostly young people and students, who surrounded the semi-autonomous region's legislature to protest the bill, which they believe will undermine the independence of Hong Kong's legal system and put its citizens and foreign nationals at risk. The rallies were the largest Hong Kong has seen since it was handed back to China by the British in 1997. Earlier in the week, U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi released a statement calling the bill dangerous legislation and said it imperils the decades-long strong U.S.-Hong Kong relationship. The Chinese Foreign Ministry hit back at what it calls her erroneous remarks and called on Washington to stop interfering in Beijing's affairs. Despite the delay, the bill is likely to pass the local legislature, where pro-Beijing lawmakers hold 43 of the 70 seats. Choi Si-young, Arirang News.
Washington and Beijing are sending mixed signals about the direction of their trade negotiations. President Trump is sounding confident but adding pressure, and analysts say China wants to move ahead but also won't cave in. Ko Ryun-hee reports.
With the leaders of the U.S. and China to meet later this month at the G20 summit in Japan, the two countries are sending signals both positive and negative. Speaking to reporters on Thursday, researcher Liang Ming, who works at a think tank under Beijing's Commerce Ministry, said China wants good results from the meeting. He said there's a high possibility that the two leaders will reach an agreement there, but he emphasized that China won't take further steps in the negotiations unless the U.S. shows sincerity. President Trump, meanwhile, said on Wednesday that he has a feeling there will be a trade deal with Beijing. Speaking to reporters at the White House, Trump said the two countries have a good relationship, although it has become a little bit testy recently over tariffs. Asked about the deadline for imposing tariffs on an additional $325 billion worth of Chinese goods, he said there is none.
I have no deadline. My deadline is what's up here. We'll figure out the deadline.
Okay.
Nobody can quite figure it out.
No deadline, but he said more tariffs will be imposed if negotiations break down. Those would be levies on nearly all of the Chinese imports not already subject to them, including cell phones and clothing. Since last year, the world's biggest economies have put tariffs on around $360 billion worth of each other's goods. And the tensions have been escalating since they recently raised some existing tariffs. Since their trade negotiations ended in May without a deal, Washington and Beijing have been blaming each other for the talks' collapse. 고륜이 Arirang News.
And amid the ongoing US-China trade spat, Huawei is reportedly pressuring Verizon to pay licensing fees on over 230 patents worth around $1 billion. The Wall Street Journal reported Wednesday that Huawei requested Verizon to pay the fees in February. Representatives from both firms also apparently met last week in New York to discuss some of the patents, which include core network equipment and wireline infrastructure. A Verizon spokesperson declined to comment on the issue, saying it's a potential legal matter, adding that any issue involving Huawei has implications for the entire industry. The South Korean government has issued $1.5 billion of foreign exchange equalization bonds at the lowest rate on record. The Finance Ministry says $1 billion in dollar-denominated conventional bonds were sold, with the other $500 million being dollar-denominated green and sustainability bonds. It's the first time that the government has issued green and sustainability bonds with a 5-year maturity at a rate as low as 2.18%. Lower rates means demand for the bonds is high, and the ministry says the sale reaffirms foreign investors' confidence in the South Korean economy at a time of rising global uncertainty. South Korean carmakers saw their production and exports rise in May for a second straight month. Trade Ministry data shows they made 366,000 cars, an on-month increase of 4% thanks to new models and an extra working day. Exports increased 6% on year as strong sales of eco-friendly cars and SUVs in North America offset poor sales in Europe. Car sales domestically, though, were down more than 2% due to fewer purchases of imports. South Korea's Under-20 football team has arrived in the central Polish city of Lodz to prepare for their historic World Cup final match against Ukraine this weekend. South Korean fans are expected to pour onto the streets across the nation to show their support. Kan Young-woo has this report.
The stage is set. Following a dramatic win against Senegal in the quarterfinal, followed by a 1-0 victory over Ecuador, South Korea's Under-20 football team has made it to the FIFA Under-20 World Cup final. Having arrived in the central policy city of Lodz on Wednesday afternoon local time, the young Taeguk Warriors will hold their first practice on Thursday. The team faces Ukraine in the final and has its hopes set on becoming the first Korean men's football team to win a FIFA tournament.
Nothing else now. I will put my heart out there, and the goal is to win for my teammates, coaching staff, and the fans.
Even if they lose the match, the team has already been written into the history books as the first Korean men's squad to make it to the final stage of a FIFA tournament. Some are calling the upcoming championship a battle of the underdogs, as it's also the Ukraine's first time to make it to the Under-20 final. To reach the final match, the Taeguk Warriors have collected 5 straight wins against South Africa, Argentina, Japan, Senegal, and Ecuador. Having collected 1 goal and 4 assists to help his team get to the final, South Korea's star player Lee Gang-in has a strong case to receive the Golden Ball, a trophy awarded by the Football Association to the MVP of the tournament. Meanwhile, in South Korea, fans are getting ready to cheer on the young players, organizing street rallies in different parts of the nation. As the final match will begin at 1 a.m. on Sunday Korea time, many fans are expected to stay up late to hopefully witness history being made. 강영우, Arirang News.
South Korea has been ranked this year as the world's 55th most peaceful country. A report by Australia-based think tank, the Institute for Economics and Peace, ranked the peacefulness of 163 countries based on 23 indicators in 3 areas: level of social safety and security, the extent of any ongoing domestic and international conflict, and their degree of militarization. South Korea's ranking was down 9 notches from last year, with the report citing notable deteriorations over the past decade in the confidence in the military. North Korea moved up a notch to rank 149th, but it's still the only Asia-Pacific country in the bottom 25. The report said Pyongyang was given the lowest score in terms of nuclear and heavy weapons capabilities, noting that there has been lack of tangible progress despite denuclearization talks with the U.S. Iceland was the most peaceful nation, followed by New Zealand and Austria. Afghanistan was the least peaceful. South Korea has readjusted its travel alerts on 16 countries around the world. According to Seoul's foreign ministry, the government raised the travel alert on several areas in Burkina Faso from level 2 to 3, advising all South Koreans to leave. It follows the kidnapping of a South Korean traveler in the country in mid-April who was rescued through French operations a month later. Seoul also raised the travel alert on a few areas in Nigeria, Djibouti, and Ethiopia from level 2 to 3 due to frequent attacks and violent crimes. Myanmar's Rakhine State received the highest travel warning of level 4 due to armed forces attacks last month. Travel alerts on Belgium and Spain's Barcelona were dropped from level 2 to level 1 thanks to the local authorities' counter-terrorism activities. The city of Busan is getting ready to host tens of thousands of BTS fans for the upcoming weekend. Ahead of the fan meetings and performances, the city has lit up its landmarks in BTS colors and has come up with special tour recommendations for fans of the K-pop superstars. Our Lee Min-sun has the story.
South Korean boy band BTS have returned to their home country after a month-long world tour. They are set to perform and meet with fans at the port city of Busan this weekend. And the city is making the final preparations to host the group's army of followers. Some 45,000 fans are expected to attend the fan meeting and performance at the Busan Asiad Auxiliary Stadium. But the city could see even more visitors, including more than 4,000 fans from abroad. Busan City plans to mobilize hundreds of local police personnel around the concert venue to ensure fans' safety. Adding to the excitement, every night since Tuesday, 7 of the city's landmarks, including Gwangan Bridge, Busan Cinema Center, and Busan Tower, have been lit up with purple lighting, which is the color that represents BTS. Some fans have even decorated subway station walls with pictures of the 7-member group. Busan is known as a popular tourist destination and is the hometown of BTS members Jimin and Jungkook. Specifically for the group's die-hard fans, Busan's tourism organization has made special tour recommendations. The tourism organization has selected some spots related to the band members' childhood memories. One such place is the elementary school Jimin attended. Hwaedong Elementary School closed down last year and has been turned into a nutrition experience center. Fans can visit the very place where their idol used to spend his childhood and can stop at nearby restaurants to enjoy local dishes. Lee Min-sun, Arirang News.
South Korea, China and Japan are reportedly drawing up measures to encourage the production of more eco-friendly cars. Yonhap reports that Seoul and Beijing will penalize local firms that don't manufacture as many electric vehicles as their respective governments recommend. Japan, meanwhile, is urging local car makers to boost their average fuel efficiency by 32%, as well as increase electric car production. South Korean director Bong Joon-ho has been invited to this year's Lumiere Film Festival, which kicks off in the French city of Lyon in October. The invitation comes after Bong won the Palme d'Or award at the 2019 Cannes Film Festival for his latest film, Parasite. The black comedy is off to a good start in France, attracting some 330,000 viewers within a week of its release. Various cultural events will be held in the capital later this month to mark 10 years since the royal tombs of the Joseon dynasty were designated as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. A number of ceremonies, concerts and other events will be held at Gyeongbokgung Palace from the 21st to the 30th. Also on the 30th, the date in which the tombs were listed as World Heritage Sites, the tombs will be open to the public for free. The Seoul Metropolitan Government has won several awards for its public arts projects and its crime prevention designs. The Society for Experiential Graphic Design gave its top award for this year to Seongdong-gu District's Skyline Wayfinding Project. The Crime Prevention Project won the Sylvia Harris Award and Merit Award for putting addresses on the side of each building to help find people in an emergency. A three-way pedestrian overpass in Jongno-gu District was also recognized with a Merit Award for its design incorporating the arts and augmented reality technology. That has been your 3-minute news flash. It's now time to take a look at some of the digital media content available on Arirang's social media platforms.
And today we have another episode of Koreator where Emilia from Germany shares with us her feelings about living in Korea.
So hello guys, my name is Emily and I'm 19 years old and I'm really happy to be the next Koreator. I came to Korea back then, 2012, and I came through a show named Running Man with You Just Talk, and this show was totally amazing. So I became curious about the culture and the people and the language, and I started up looking a lot of stuff, for example, how to hold chopsticks. Or how to speak formal. 안녕하세요. 19살 에밀리입니다. 한국 좋아하고 한국에 살고 싶습니다. 감사합니다. After that, I even discovered Arirang was really cool because I found out about after school club. They were idols and it was really entertaining and funny. All right. The first thing is the delivery service. It's really dangerous to walk on the streets while a delivery service is passing by you because they don't pay attention to you. That were really shocking for me. I think the subway on Friday, when it's the time that everybody is going home and so on, the subway is so full that you cannot move. Of course, the food, Korean food is amazing. For example, if you taste 소불고기 or 삼겹살.
I nearly cried because this is so good.
Of course, the night, because in Germany, all the shops and everything is closing after 8 or 10 p.m. Everything is dead. You go out of the street, nobody's there. Nobody. I was in Gangnam. And everything was shining, everything was bright, everything was open. You will never see something like this in Germany, never. But here, every day is party. Yeah, of course, the culture, visiting stuff like the Gwanghwamun Square or King Sejong and learning about Hangul. This was really interesting for me. Even wearing a hanbok, because in Germany we don't have any dress that is really special like a hanbok. Through Korea, my whole life totally changed and it became exciting and interesting. My dream became to be an MC in Korea.
Have you been to Korea?
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed the video, and well, hopefully you guys will be the next creator. And I'll see you in the next video.
It got a lot hotter today, with temperatures in some of the southern provinces topping over 30 degrees Celsius.
That's right, and we are expecting temperatures to decline though. And let's get more details from our Michelle Park at the Weather Center. Michelle.
Good evening, guys. Now today was hotter than yesterday, and Seoul topping out to 28 degrees Celsius, while Daegu marked up to 30 degrees. Now it should drop back down a couple of degrees tomorrow though, as cloudy conditions are expected by Friday afternoon. In fact, the low-pressure weather system will influence the southern regions and Jeju tomorrow, with a possibility of 5 to 30 millimeters of rain to cool down the heat. Now, meanwhile, the rest of the nation will be under cloudy skies, and Beijing will have a scorching hot day, while Tokyo will have a moderate weather. Temperatures in the morning will read between 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. Now Seoul will be kicking off to 18 degrees, and Busan and Jeju will begin at 19 and 20 degrees respectively. Into the day, Seoul's temperature will rise up to 27 degrees, while the southern areas will make it into the mid-20s. Now the capital will stay rain-free until next Tuesday before turning unsettled, with some heavy and thundery showers in certain areas, so please check the weather forecast before making any nationwide trips this weekend. I'll leave you with the weather conditions around the world.
That will do it for this edition of Arirang News. Thank you as always for watching.
News in Depth is coming up next, so don't go away.